So now what we want to prove is, once you pick up a vertex u and you say you have optimized the shortest path, means you have found the shortest path to that vertex u, for every intermediate vertex on this shortest path from S to u, they should be already optimized. You see what I mean? So let's look at this example. When I say I have found the shortest path to this D from A, what is the shortest path? It's going to be S to F, this, right? So S, F, B, D. So when I say that I have found the shortest path from, yes, this is A, right? So when I say that I have found the shortest path from A to D, that also means I have found the shortest path from A to F as well as the shortest path from A to B. Is that clear? So that's an important property to observe. Every intermediate vertex on a shortest path is already optimized. Is that clear? That's what you'll observe in all the examples. You may notice when you pick a vertex and say you optimize that vertex, which means you have found the shortest path to that vertex, like in this case D, it also means that you have already found the shortest path to every intermediate vertex on that path. Okay? So that's a property, we can also call this a theorem, and we try to prove this. Why is that has to be true? What has to be true? On a shortest path from the source to a particular vertex, every intermediate vertex is already optimized, which means you've already found the shortest path to every intermediate vertex. Okay? So how would you prove this? We can again try by contradiction. Okay? So that's a familiar tool we are going to use. So what is the theorem? On a shortest path from say S to U, every intermediate vertex is already optimized, which means you have found the shortest path from S to those vertices. Right? So that's the theorem. So we'll assume the contradiction. Let's say there is some vertex V on the shortest path from S to U, for which we have not yet found the shortest path from S to V. We have found the shortest path from S to U, that is given, but S to V is not at, we have not found the shortest path from S to V. It could be what? If you have found the shortest path from S to U, right, there should be some number, isn't it? So let's say this is 3, 5, 7, some 2, 9, this is 17, right? This is the weight of the shortest path from S to U. But this weight from S to V is of weight what? 8. Right? So what does it mean here? The shortest path from S to V could be of weight less than 8. You see what I mean? Okay? Now, is that again really possible? Not possible. Why? Let's prove it more formally. Remember, again, one more important thing you have to notice in Dijkstra's algorithm. In this example, or any example, you start from 0, right? That's a minimum among 0, infinity, 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 infinity. You pick that, you say optimize it. The next one you pick in this example is 3. The next one you pick is 4. The next you pick is 6. Again, the next you pick is 6. The last one you pick is 9. So all these numbers are in increasing, monotonically increasing order. Each vertex you pick, each iteration, subsequent iterations, the values you say of the shortest path weights that you have found is either the same or increasing. It doesn't reduce like this. The first time you start to 0, and then you go to 3, and then you go to 4, again you come to 3, something say 2, then 7, 9. It doesn't happen like that. It either remains the same like this or it increases. Right? So the shortest path weights increase continuously in each iteration. Right? The reason is why? There's also an assumption behind this algorithm. All the H weights are positive. there's no edge or weight, negative weight. Okay, it's not -1, -2, no edge as negative weight. All edge weights are positive. So since all edge weights are positive, in subsequent iterations, the shortest path estimate weights are going to only increase. It's not going to reduce. Okay? So, if we say we have found the shortest path to u, right? Is that clear? And we have not found the shortest path to v, it means the estimate that you have for v is going to be greater than or less than the estimate you had for u. In each iteration, what you do, you pick the minimum among the ones that you have not picked. Right? So the first iteration, you pick 0, that's the minimum among all those things. The second iteration, you pick here 3, 5, infinity, the minimum among 3. Then you pick the minimum in each iteration. So you pick u and say you have found the shortest path to u because u was the minimum among all the numbers that are out there for vertices that are not yet optimized. So v is one of those vertices that are not yet optimized. The weight of the shortest path from S to V has to be what? At least greater than or equal to the weight of the shortest path that you have from S to U. If our assumption that S to V is not yet optimized. Right? If S to V is not yet optimized, because if S to V was less than the weight from S to U, you would have picked up V ahead of U. But you say you picked up u and you say you have optimized the path from S to u. And we assume that this v is not yet optimized. V is the intermediate vertex on this path. Right? If v is the intermediate vertex or some vertex, but it's not yet optimized, right? So it means its weight has to be what? Greater than or equal to the weight of the path from S to u. If that is the case, now consider that being an intermediate vertex, that's possible. If the weight of the path from S to V is going to be greater than the weight of the path from S to U, greater than or equal to, this is just a subpath, right? And all edge weights are positive. If all edge weights are positive, then the weight of the path from S to U is going to be only greater than the weight of the path from S to V. Because if this was, say, some 10, there's at least one more edge from V to U. And that edge has to have some positive weight. So that could be some 1, 2, 3 or anything. But whatever it is, the weight of the path, if you have V as an intermediate vertex, the weight of the path from S to U has to be more than the weight of the path from S to V. So that contradicts even this statement, which means you would not have picked U as your shortest path, you should have picked V as the shortest path. As the vertex that you optimize, right? So, but it's again a contradiction. So, which means if you say you have optimized the path to U, every intermediate vertex should already be optimized. If it is not optimized, you can have a situation like this. Okay? So that's how we prove the theorem. Okay, let me again repeat it. Let's say you have a path from S to U where there is intermediate vertex V. And we say that we have picked that vertex u as the vertex that they are optimized in the particular iteration. And according to our algorithm, which means when you pick that vertex u, it means that's the vertex, the minimum estimate for the path weight among all the vertices that are not yet optimized. Right? Like if you pick this 3 among all these things, 3, 5, infinity, 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 it means that's the minimum among all these vertices. Similarly, when you pick this 4 compared to 11, infinity, infinity, that's the minimum between these among these 4 vertices. So, which means when you pick u, that's the minimum path weight estimate among all the vertices that have not been yet optimized. Right? So, what is our theorem? For all the intermediate vertices should be already optimized on a shortest path. Now we want to disprove it by assuming, let's say there is some vertex v that is not yet optimized on this shortest path from S to u. And we have just picked u as the vertex that we optimized. Now we want to argue whether such a thing can exist. If v is not yet optimized, according to what I just said, the weight of the path from S to V has to be greater than or equal to the weight of the path from S to U, because we picked U because that was the minimum among all those vertices that are not yet optimized. If V was one among them which was not yet optimized, its weight has to be greater than or equal to the weight of the path from S to U, right? Isn't it? If V was not yet optimized, it should be of weight larger than or equal to the weight of the path from S to U. Otherwise, we would have picked V instead of U. Right? Since we picked U, it means the weight of the path from S to V should be more than the weight of the path from S to U. If that is the case, if V has to be an intermediate vertex on this path from S to U, then we want to again see if this can be really true or not. Because if V is an intermediate vertex on this path, the weight of the path from S to U is going to only increase further than what is the weight of the path from S to V, because all edge weights are positive. So that self-contradicts, which means this cannot be true. Right? So which means weight of the path from S to V has to be what? Less than the weight of the path from S to U. If that is the case, since we are picking the vertices in the increasing order of the weights, which means we should have picked V sometime before we picked U. Right? So in this iteration, we pick U as the minimum edge weight, the vertex with the minimum path weight, right? Which means we should have picked V sometime before. Which means V should have been already optimized. Right? So that's a contradiction to our original assumption that V is not yet optimized. So that's how we prove that every vertex on a shortest path should be already optimized. Okay?
So what exactly do you want us to write?
What I said. And he's recording it.
That's a lot of...
And I have written it here.
So you mean, can we...
Don't memorize it. You try to understand and try to
I
memorize.
understand what it's saying, but I'm saying that was a lot that you said.
Yeah. So whatever I said is put here. Okay?
What I'm saying is, can we...
I'm trying to explain different ways. You may notice I am repeating the same thing in different ways. So you don't have to write all those things. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's what I was
So
saying.
to explain one thing, I'm trying to explain different ways to make sure you get it at least one of those ways. You understand what I'm telling you.
Yeah, okay.
So, but if you write what is here, that's good. Again, you can rewrite in your own words. Try to do that. But a lot of times people end up memorizing it. That's fine. But as long as you understand it, that's okay. Okay?
Makes sense.
So these are two smaller theorems. So what we want to eventually prove is the correctness of the algorithm. And we have almost done that. So what we want to prove is, so what we proved here, if we pick U as the vertex that you are optimized, the intermediate vertices are already optimized, right? Now we'll go one step further and say, when I pick U, some vertex U with the smallest weight among those which are not yet optimized, I want to say I have found the shortest path. Remember the examples when we did, each time we pick something as a minimum among all those numbers, I say we have optimized that vertex. So how do we prove that means that we have optimized the vertex? Right? When you pick the minimum, how do you guarantee that that vertex is optimized? So that's what we want to prove. Right? So each iteration, when you pick the minimum among all those estimates, we prove that we have optimized that vertex, like F first, and then B, and then this D, and then this E, and so on. So how do you say when I pick the minimum among these numbers, I have optimized that vertex? Right? So how do you prove that you have found the shortest path? That's what we are going to now prove by using these two smaller theorems. So again, we are going to use the technique of proof by contradiction. So let's say for some vertex V, we have found the shortest path, some S to V, which means I pick that V in my iteration. That's the lowest among those vertices that are not yet optimized, and let's say I found the shortest path from S to V, which is say is P. So I want to prove that this is the minimum weight path. Alright? So let's assume the contradiction. Let there be a path P prime from F to V, and we want to prove that this is the minimum. What is minimum? The P is the minimum weight path. Let's assume the contradiction. Let the weight of the path P prime be less than P. This P prime is a hypothetical path. This P is the path given to that we find by the Dijkstra's algorithm. We want to prove that P is the minimum weight path. To prove that P is the minimum weight path, we'll assume the contradiction that P is not the minimum weight path. There's something else, say P prime, that's the minimum weight path. So, which means the weight of path P prime is less than the weight of path P. So now again we have to kind of argue, is that really possible? Can there be a path P prime of weight less than P? So we have to put together how we did the Dijkstra's algorithm. Right? So we can consider this as two scenarios. In one scenario, if this has to be true, right, let's say if all the vertices in this path P prime, like I say here, if all the vertices in the path P prime are already optimized, so which means all these vertices here on the path P prime are already optimized. Remember, when you say we optimize the vertex, what we do, like in this case, when I say I have optimized the path to U, I try to relax the neighbors by going to U. If I can go with a step, relaxation step, if D of V is greater than the weight, I can then make what? The predecessor of V to be U, right? That's what I do. In each step I try to reduce the weight. Every time I say I found the shortest path to vertex U, I try to do the relaxation and try to reduce the weight of its neighbors, right? So which means if I have optimized all the intermediate vertices on this path from S to V, on this path P prime, right? And in my Dijkstra's algorithm, I pick V as the next vertex with the lowest weight among all the vertices that are not yet optimized, right? These guys, if I have really done the relaxation step for all their neighbors, these guys should have reduced the weight to whatever it is currently, right? For example, if this was on this path from S to P, let's say the weight came to some 10. And what I'm arguing basically is this P prime, so this P weight of the path P is 10. So the weight of the path P prime is less than 10, which means by going through all these intermediate vertices, I should get something less than 10, right? So which means when I did the relaxation step of all these intermediate vertices, I should be able to reach this V, right? Because if I'm able to find a path from S to V on P prime, what does it mean? I should be able to reach V through all these intermediate vertices, isn't it? If you look at again those examples. If I have found the shortest path to D, which means what? By going through all those intermediate vertices A to F, F to B, B to D, I was able to reach D from A. That's what it means, right? So which means if I was able to find the path P prime from S to V, which means by going through all the intermediate vertices and relaxing all the neighbors, I was able to reach V from S. And if I was able to reach V from S and relax all the intermediate vertices, if it was possible, I should have been able to reduce this below 10. Right? And I was not able to do that because according to my Dijkstra's algorithm, this is the estimate of this vertex P. So which means this scenario one of the two scenarios that I listed, that all the intermediate vertices, the path P prime should have been already optimized, cannot exist. If all the intermediate vertices in B prime were already optimized, then the current weight of the vertex B should be equal to weight of path P prime.
Yeah.
It was not that, it was the weight of path P. It was not 10, sorry, it was 10, it was not something less than 10. You see what I mean? If we have optimized and relaxed all these intermediate vertices, right? The weight of the path from S to V should have been the weight of path P prime, right? And it was not the weight of path P prime, it was the weight of path P. Can you visualize it? The scenario states what? All the intermediate vertices on the path P prime are already optimized. That means what? I pick up a vertex which is optimized and then relax its neighbors. Neighbors means by going through that vertex, I see if we can reduce the weight further. That was relaxation step, right? So this was say 30 and this was 70. By going through U, I was able to reduce from 70 to 30 plus 10, 40. That's relaxation step, which I've been doing every time, right? So if I picked up all the intermediate vertices and relaxed their neighbors, that includes this V, right? I should have now the estimate of the path from S to V to be the weight of the path P prime. But I did not have that. I had the weight of path P, right? Can you visualize that? Let's say this is path P prime, right? And we want to assume the contradiction that the weight of path P prime is less than what Dijkstra's algorithm gives us. Dijkstra's algorithm gives us path P. And we want to prove that there's something better than path P of weight less than weight of path P, right? And we want to argue whether such a path P prime can exist. Okay? So if such a path P prime can exist, which is different from P, then there are two scenarios possible. One scenario is all the intermediate vertices on the path P prime should have been optimized. If all the intermediate vertices on the path P prime like this A, F, B, D should have been optimized, it means what? By going through this intermediate vertices, you are able to reach D. Right? That example. So which means if all these intermediate vertices, say F and B, were relaxed and the neighbors were optimized, right? Which means the weight of the path from S to V should correspond to the weight of the path P prime. Right? But in our iterations, what we pick, the weight of path P. So which means what cannot be true? All the intermediate vertices cannot be should not be optimized, right? At least there should be one intermediate vertex that was not yet optimized in this path P prime. Right? So the first scenario where all intermediate vertices are optimized cannot really exist. Right? If we are relaxing all these things correctly. So let's analyze the second scenario now. What is the second scenario? There should be at least one intermediate vertex, say some B or this is already B. So let's pick up some X. So there should be at least one intermediate vertex, which is say X, that is not yet optimized. On which path? On this path P prime. Because we just proved that all the vertices cannot have been optimized. If all these vertices have been optimized, we would have picked P prime instead of P. Right? So there should be at least one intermediate vertex on this path P prime that should not have been optimized yet. Is that clear? Let's say that vertex is some X. Right? Now it comes back to our previous situation. If that is the case, if X was not yet optimized, right? And it is still an intermediate vertex on the path from S to V, then what can we say about the weight of the path from S to X? Should it be greater than or equal to the weight of the path from S to V or less than the weight of the path from S to V? It's not yet optimized, right? S to X is not yet optimized, which means if Dijkstra's algorithm picked V ahead of X, the weight of the path from S to X has to be greater than or equal to the weight of the path from S to V. Because if the weight of the path from S to X was less than this, Dijkstra's algorithm would have picked up X ahead of V to optimize. but the fact that we pick V as the next vertex with the smallest estimate, it means this intermediate vertex X has a larger estimate, right? Greater than or equal to that of V. Because if X, the weight of the path from S to X was say some 7, this was 10, the fact that Dijkstra's algorithm picked 10 ahead of anything else means 10 is the smallest among the ones that are not yet optimized. Like you pick every time 3, 5, 7, infinity, you pick 3, right? Which means that's the smallest among not yet optimized. So the fact that it picks 10 ahead of X means the weight of the path from S to X is at least the weight of the path from S to V. Right? So, and still X is an intermediate vertex. So there should be at least one more edge from X to V. And all edge weights are still positive. Right? So which means the weight of the path P prime is including what? The weight of the path from S to X plus some edge greater than, of weight greater than 0. Right? Some edge of weight greater than 0. So which means the weight of the, and we know what? This itself is what? Greater than or equal to the weight of path P. That's what he said, right? Because this is the weight of the path P. This is greater than or equal to this. So what it comes out to be, the weight of the path P prime is greater than or equal to weight of the path P plus some positive quantity, some positive edge weight. So this plus something positive will make it what? Will make the weight of the path P prime to be greater than the weight of path P. Because weight of path P plus something positive is going to make this weight of path P prime greater than the weight of path P. Right? So that again contradicts our original assumption that weight of path P prime is less than the weight of path P. So either way, there cannot be an alternate path P prime from S to D that is not picked by Dijkstra's algorithm. So whatever it picks is the path in the shortest way. Okay? So that's what I have explained here in the two scenarios. Okay? So again, you try to understand it and then you can write it. Okay? So this is a way to prove theorems. Okay? Okay, so we have, let's see. Not do anything. Okay, let me just start this for a few minutes we have and then we'll continue next time. So we found basically shortest path trees. Starting from one vertex, we found the shortest path to the other vertex. Right? The next thing we are going to see is minimum spanning trees. So, what's a minimum spanning tree? Have you heard of this term before? No, right? A spanning tree is something that spans, covers all the vertices. Okay, so if I have a graph with some there could be some edge weights, need not be some edge weights. The spanning tree of this is something that covers all the vertices. But of course, a tree should not have a cycle. So this is a tree, it's a spanning tree on this graph. Now, if all the so let's give some weights to all these edges. So you can see I can come up with different spanning trees. Right? Another spanning tree could be something like this. Right? For this given graph, I could come different spanning trees. As long as I cover all the vertices, that should be fine. Right?
First, is it a spanning tree?
On this one?
One bullet.
No, this is a graph.
This is a cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle. So I don't say it's a tree, it's a graph. So this is your given graph. This is one spanning tree, this is another spanning tree. Right?
So you need to go to each node without